Hello there and welcome to the Secrets of Organ Playing podcast. I'm your host, Vidas Pinkevičius. Welcome to Secrets of Organ Playing podcast number 101. This is Sunday, July the 2nd, 2017, and today's guest is world-famous and renowned organist and improviser and pedagogue from the Netherlands, Hayo Boerema. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Almost. Hayo Boerema.
Boerema.
That's okay.
Hayo Boerema. Wonderful. We're sitting and chatting and having a physical cup of cappuccino at the Hotel Stickley here in Vilnius on the occasion of Hayo's coming here to Lithuania and playing a recital as part of the Vilnius festival, right?
Yeah.
Which will be tomorrow we're recording this on Friday, June the 15th. So tomorrow, June the 17th will be your recital, right?
Yes.
So I just arrived from Amsterdam and we are chatting, and I almost forgot to press the record button, guys, and I'm so delighted that we've been chatting about those wonderful things. I already mentioned that he will be playing tonight this work that I also played in Vilnius, Miroir by Advames, our friend from Holland, composer, and so I won't keep you waiting for long for Hayo's voice. So just let's welcome and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for your time and generosity. Welcome.
It's my honor to be here.
Wonderful. So let's drink a little bit of cappuccino.
Yeah. In the sun. It's fantastic weather.
So how do you like Vilnius so far, Hayo?
Very good. Very good. It's a beautiful city. Of course, I haven't seen much of it yet, but when the driver took us to the hotel, I could already see some nice little streets, beautiful buildings. So I think I will have a very good. Actually, I think I would regret having not more time to spend here in Vilnius, but well, maybe there's always a next time.
Right. I definitely feel that we will meet again, either here in Vilnius or in Holland or someplace else maybe, because the world now is very, very small. Right?
In a way, it's very small, yeah.
Right. So, for starters, Hayo, would you be willing to share what we'll be playing tomorrow? What kind of repertoire?
Yes, well, I was, of course, depending on the stop list, so and judging from that, I decided to play Bach, and of course some Sweelinck, because I have to play some Dutch music. Yeah, you can understand that. Then I will play Mozart's Fantasie F-moll. And then, of course, this piece by Advames, also to show some nice works from the Netherlands. And they especially asked to play some works of Messiaen, Olivier Messiaen. So I will play 3 parts from the Cor Glorieux, and then at the end I will improvise also, because they wanted me to do that, and I love to do it, so why not do it? Right. This organ, have you played this organ before? No. Have you visited the church before? No.
Not yet.
So tonight will be my first acquaintance with the organ.
So Hayo will be playing at St Kazimierz Church, which is the Baroque church with big acoustic, maybe 7 seconds of reverberation.
Oh, very nice.
And it has now in the balcony neo-Baroque Oberlinger organ with 3 manuals. I played there last winter, and it sounds great in this acoustic. Nice. It has maybe for the French symphonic music a little bit not enough foundation stops, like 8-foot gambas and flutes, a lot of flutes, foundation. But nevertheless, the acoustics is beautiful, and you can adapt some things, and you will, I think, do very, very well. So, Hayo, I think you will be playing improvisation as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What kind of improvisation are you imagining?
That is always a difficult question, because I really like to let it happen at the moment. So it could be a very free form. But if I would get some nice themes, for instance, folk tunes, it might be possible to have some improvisations. Some variations. But the most exciting thing is to let it happen at the spot, because then you can actually achieve the most exciting kind of music.
I actually will try to write you a tune, write down a tune, maybe some kind of famous folk melody that Lithuanians know, or maybe a chant or a choral. I'm not sure. I hope I will not come alone in this concert. Maybe we'll come with colleagues from Vilnius, and we'll chat and discuss what kind of tune would fit this organ and you're playing the most, and
that would be good. Yes.
Wonderful audience. People will love to recognize the tune when you play. That's always wonderful.
Yeah, I had this very nice experience last year in Bergamo, where they specifically wanted me to improvise 2 times. And what I did not know was that they actually told the audience to bring tunes. So there were all kinds of people with little baskets, and they were completely filled with all kinds of tunes. And then at the moment that the improvisation should start, this man came up with his basket, and then I had to choose in front of the people, pick a few tunes, and then the reaction of the audience as soon as they would hear something they would know, it was absolutely fantastic.
If you have this basket in Lithuania, I'm sure people will be amazed also, because at the moment they will see something that you are a true spontaneous music creator, right? You're not memorizing and not pulling the sheets out of from the table, right? You're really doing this in the moment, right? Whatever comes at you, you react, right? It's wonderful.
Very exciting. That is the basics of improvisation, I think.
So, Hayo, do you remember those early days when you first fell in love with the organ, improvisation? What came first, maybe? Could you share the story?
I do remember that when I was very little, we always went to church on Sunday, and I was, from the beginning that I can remember, fascinated by this big thing at the back of the church with all the noise coming out. And at some point I had a good friend, and they got a very small harmonium, but with a motor in it, very small, and I found it absolutely fascinating, and I played it all the time. And the parents of this friend said, "Well, you can have it because we won't use it anyway." So that's actually how it started. And after a few years of doing my own stuff, my parents said, "Well, this is apparently something he likes very much. It's time for him to go and have lessons." Mm-hmm. And ever since I have been playing. So in a way, I have to be very grateful to this friend that he had this little harmonium.
So when you first played this harmonium by yourself, right? Nobody really taught you. You didn't know how to do this.
No.
Correctly, right?
Not correctly.
Or incorrectly. You didn't know what that means, right? No. You just did.
I had my own system. I can even remember that I had my own writing system. Then when I heard a song that I wanted to write it down, of course I could not read notes, so I had my own system. So in a way, the beginning of my organ playing was improvising and finding stuff out myself. And later, the actually learning of notes came.
It's so wonderful, Hayo, because it reminds me of children how they first start drawing, doodling around in their own little style, childish way. And we as adults react, oh yeah, it's beautiful, yeah, wonderful, but kind of childish, okay? Yeah. We adults don't do this. We make a portrait or landscape very well presented and precise, or something stylistically correct, or maybe we copy somebody else's style. But children don't do that. They just create, right?
Yeah.
When we later, if we continue to draw something and professionally and take lessons and do this over and over again, something is lost.
Yeah.
The spontaneity, continuity, and liveliness, right?
Yeah, it's true, because it starts with creativity, and then it develops to copying. The basics of every teaching is copying. You copy what others do, and in that process, a part of the creativity gets lost. So it is very interesting to try and keep this creativity. And nowadays, teachers are far better in teaching children with creativity than in older days. I have students or older students that have started to play later, and they always tell that, well, I had a bad teacher and he wanted me to play exactly what was written, and now I am scared to improvise.
Exactly.
That is a bit.
And now when we can do this sort of correctly, or we know how to do this correctly, we try to go back a little bit and do this freely enough, spontaneous enough, with a feeling. Maybe we get rid of few rules, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's important.
We follow our own way instead of somebody else's style. That's what children did, right? And we now also try to remember what we could have done in the beginning too.
Yeah. I can remember a masterclass with Johann Th, and there was this English student, and he wanted to. Jos said, "Go improvise something," and then he started this typically improvising with chords, but wrong chords, and then Jos was very, very, very harsh on him. He said, "Well, what you do is, it sounds, do you like what you do?" No, he said, no, I don't like it. It sounds stupid. The chords are not correct. Why do you do it? Yes, because it's the only thing I know, he said. And then you said, no, that's absolutely not true. Forget about rules. Think of sounds, and so he was guiding this little guy. He was blossoming. He discovered something he would never done if he was not if he would stay in this strict rules. And at the end of the course, he was one of the best improvisers.
Really,
in a very modern and atonal style, but very creative. So that was for me the proof that it's so important to think out of the box when you improvise.
One of the interesting exercises that I became aware, I think, is very simple. You sit down at the organ, you choose 4 pitches, any type of pitches, C, D, E, F, or C, D, E, F sharp maybe, or something, just 4. And the rule is just one. You can use any type of disposition of voices, registration, whatever you want, rhythms, meters, anything you want, but just use those 4 notes and play for 10 minutes without stopping. But do something interesting. That's the rule. Do something interesting. And
tell a story. That's
it's very, very difficult to do this for 10 minutes because your mind screams at you around 90-second mark. It's stupid. Stop. It's nonsense. But if you continue around 5 minutes, 7, 8 minutes, it becomes really interesting.
Yeah, and then you have passed a certain border, and then and you'll have to and then you actually start to tell a story.
Yes.
And you learn to react on what you did. I always tell people that if I would have to make a simple statement about improvising, then it is you have to learn to react. You have an action and it needs a reaction, and it can be either agreeing or disagreeing, and if you have the next reaction you have the same thing again, and this is how you learn to make a form. And of course that is very easily, but in a way that is what all the big forms in composition are always about: actions and reactions and agreeing or disagreeing.
Wonderful.
And if you keep that in mind, you can be very creative.
Now we'll have a quick break because a tourist group is chatting louder than us, but we'll come back after the break.
She has a microphone.
Yeah. They're from Poland.
Oh, you can
from Poland. And nowadays they visit every church, of course, and in my church too, which is just down the street, 2 minutes away. And whenever I practice on the organ in the summer, for example, they will come, big tourist group, and nowadays a lot of guides have microphone and earphones, and then don't need to shout. And I can keep playing, and they could still hear themselves.
Yeah, that is good. Yeah. Otherwise, they start to shout even louder.
I remember, and then if I play too loud, or a guest plays too loud, sometimes a security guard would climb the balcony and ask, "Would you please either stop or play with a flute or two?" You know, and not everybody likes that to be disturbed.
No. That is very common. Yeah.
Wonderful. So our guests from Poland group disappeared now to another corner of the street, and now we can continue chatting. Wonderful. So we've been talking about how we improvise in the moment, reacting, right? So do you remember who taught you the rules of improvisation at the beginning? What was your biggest mentor at first?
Well, it sounds a bit strange maybe, but the first time I heard, everybody knows him, Pierre Cochereau, that was a sort of wake-up call. This is what I want. And of course then you start, as you always do, copying what he does. Which is good, but it is also a danger, as we already discussed. And then at the conservatory, I got lessons with Johann Th, and he is a fantastic teacher, because he said to me, "Well, what you do is very nice, but it is copying what you do. You just do what and that's very nice, but I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you." And then he sort of he peeled me like an onion. You know? He wanted to get rid of all these ideas that were not mine but were someone else's, and I found it very, very difficult.
Painful even, right?
Painful, yes. But it was also extremely good, and then after a few months, it changes you completely. In such a way that he said, "Okay, now you have changed, but now you should not forget to do what you like." So and then the whole I like certain harmonics very much, and he said the harmonics that you like, you should just use them. and not think that that they are not off limit because they are not yours. You have to. So he learned me to create my style. I would, and I also at the same time had lessons with Naji Hakim in Paris. Was a completely different kind of teacher, but exactly those the opposition of these two teachers was very good for me. Mm-hmm. And at one, Hakim was very in the French tradition with forms, and he learned from L'Anglais and with the whole Dupré method. And Johann Kooy said, yes, it's very nice that you can copy them, but that's not you. You should find a way that you can use that, but not forget this. Mm-hmm, and that was very interesting for me. Mm-hmm. I'm still very grateful to have had both traditions, and especially that Jos pointed out that I have to find my own style instead of simply copying, which is also very good because it's a craft. It's a craft to be able to do it. But for your creating your own language, yeah, that is something else.
Yeah. So what happens in your mind when you improvise? Have you been aware of something very interesting things?
Yeah. What happens is that you learn to think in two lines. The one line is the big overall line, the form that lasts for a couple of minutes, and so the big form. For instance, when I want to have a fantasy on a theme, and I want to have a introduction, development, and a conclusion. For instance,
right.
But there's this other line, and that is the I call it the line of the next second. So what happens 1 second
away
from now?
Mm-hmm.
And these two lines should, of course, be somehow related to each other. But the interesting thing is that sometimes in this second you think of something very interesting, and then you think, oh, wait a minute, this is nice, and then you decide to change your global form.
Yes.
Because you want to go on with the creative process of this second.
And this is okay, right?
And this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was a little afraid of it, and I thought, no, I should stick to the big form, and so. But then you all end up being a little disappointed because you already know what.
Too strict, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But the fascinating thing happens when you learn to accept what happens in the next second, and then you find a certain idea. And now I want to go on with this idea because now I think it could be interesting.
You know, you're so right about this, because the audience who are listening to you, for example, even organists, for example, they even themselves who improvise, they don't know what to expect next, what comes next. They know, for example, on Saturday, right, tomorrow, that you will be playing a few works that they know, maybe Mozart's Fantasia, right, maybe a work by Svelling that they appreciate and like. Some people will know Advames Miroir too. You know, it's a famous piece.
Yeah.
But they all be very, very eager to hear this improvisation, because this is for the first and the last time that somebody will play like this, unless we will record it and transcribe it later as a piece. That's possible, and sometimes.
A lot of work.
But technology now it makes it much easier.
Yeah, that's true. That's
much easier. If you upload it, for example, your improvisation to YouTube and play it at the half speed, it's much easier to follow it. It's like musical dictation, very long, of course.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was talking about this feeling of unexpectance, surprise, right? Surprise for them, for listeners. But you know what's interesting, Hayo? It's a surprise for yourself too. You don't know what's coming up next.
So that's when you...
In some cases, right?
So
you plan, but Not always.
No, that is very true. When this sounds a bit spiritual, maybe, but I always think that I have the feeling that some ideas are floating in the air, and I am sort of medium to which it can be demonstrated on the organ. So when an improvisation is done, I never have the feeling that I did it. Of course I did it. I mean, I was playing, but it was not just me that did it. There was
something else.
There was some.
You're just like a vehicle.
Yeah, a vehicle for the ideas that are in the atmosphere and the energy that is at that moment.
Do you know this movie, Twin Peaks? Famous director David Lynch.
Yeah.
And it's another new season of it, apparently worldwide.
I've heard of it.
It's wonderful, very scary but wonderful. And David Lynch has once told about ideas. His citation is like this: ideas are like fish. You don't make the fish, you catch fish.
Yeah. Well, that's very true.
Yeah, that's what we do. We catch ideas.
We catch ideas and then we present it. But it is always a process that goes above you somehow. Well, it sounds a bit spiritual, but I think that many either writers or composers or improvisers have that feeling. So indeed, it's right for the organist. For myself, it is also a surprise about what will happen tomorrow.
Do you sometimes write down your ideas as a composition?
Sometimes I do. As a matter of fact, I have recently written a mass for choir, organ, and percussion, and one of the parts, the Agnus Dei, is actually based on an improvisation that I had done earlier, and when I did this improvisation, I already thought, oh, this might be something interesting later for a composition. So, but it's not often that I do it. When I compose, it is in a way a different process than improvising. Because then you want to have more layers in it
to make it more complete, right?
Yeah,
more
to make
details,
it more interesting, more details, and then when you listen it for several times, then you can keep on discovering something new. When it is too otherwise it can easily be too superficial. You
know what I discovered also about my own improvisations, which is related to what you were saying. Every time I play an improvisation recital for non-stop for 60 minutes, like a storytelling event based on fairy tales, on legends, on myths, on biblical stories. At first I was very rigid and shy, but every 5 or 10, maybe 10 or 5 recitals like this, I have a small breakthrough. Did you notice that yourself? That when you play something new at the beginning is one thing, good but fun. But maybe when you do this in a row several times, you discover something about the music, about yourself, about the instrument, something which you haven't done before, and which moves you to the next level. Yeah, right?
Yeah. And composing, in a way, is also a good means to make better improvisations, because then sometimes, because when you compose, you can have the same process as what you told, that you do something, and because you write it, you have a breakthrough, which gives you a new idea for form or for idiom, and then you can use that for your improvisation as well. So it works both ways.
So what I was going to, when I was talking a second ago about breakthroughs, is just about on my 5th or 10th recital, I had this breakthrough that I understood that one way of making improvisation more interesting for a long time to play, like not 5 minutes but 60 minutes, 1 hour, is by having more layers, as you say, more details, polyphonically, with the more developing ideas, like 3 voices maybe, not 2. Well, at least 2, because if you have accompaniment in one hand, melody in another hand, and in the feet maybe you have a dialogue with counterpoint with the right hand, and that makes also much more interesting than just playing chords, you know.
Yes.
Or toccata-like figuration.
Yeah.
You can do this, but just for a short time.
Yeah. That is exactly what I tell my students all the time. You have to have a great variety of, I always call it playing modes.
Mm-hmm.
So not just chords, not just toccatas, but also in the melody in the pedal with just a few notes on top of it, so that you have a very big variety of playing modes, which also leads you to have new ideas. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you get stuck doing the same thing all over and over again, and it gets very boring. Even if you change the stops, you can change the stops, but still play in the same way, mm-hmm. and then the effect is gone.
Right. Do you like to change the stops by hand or by pistons, prepared in combinations?
That is a very nice question, because I am a Dutch person, and I am of course used to Dutch organs, and they don't have any pistons or whatsoever. So you have to do all by hand. And that is in a way a little more creative than pistons, because when you have pistons you have everything prepared already.
Yes.
And then you risk of just pressing the next thing and then do what you already know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But when you're at an organ with stops, you could even make mistakes. You pull the trumpet, but instead you pull the mixture. Then you have to react on that, which can be very interesting.
Wonderful. I remember in one of my first recitals, I made this mistake, so-called mistake. This was the big episode with mixtures and the posaune in the pedals. Mm-hmm. Good culmination, right? And after that, I thought maybe I jump to the second manual, swell box, closed, string stops, very, very soft. And something very quiet in the pedals. And I also would do everything by hand, because at Vilnius University, St. John's Church, everything is all mechanical, just like in Holland. And you see, I forgot about pedals. I forgot about the posaune. Yeah. And I would play, this beautiful modal harmony, octatonic scale, perhaps just like the French traditional, maybe in their hands, and maybe harmonic flute in another hand as a solo, or maybe it was like gamba, okay, or undamaris maybe. And then posaune, boom, like a trombone, right?
Yeah.
And it was so scary, but at the same time so liberating. You know what I did? I
did it again.
I did it again.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
And it was perfect.
Yeah. There is Naji Hakim always told me, if you make a mistake, repeat it 3 times. Then it's okay. So that is exactly what you did.
Yes, we all make mistakes, and the more the better, right?
Because
it's unexpected surprise.
Yeah.
And then,
and especially old organs, they can sometimes have ciphers. The key keeps saying. Mm-hmm. Well, then that is a very nice element of your improvisation. Don't stop. Just go on and use the cipher in your improvisation.
At first I was very, very shy and strict. I didn't know how to improvise, and I was even scared to try. And I remember we in Vilnius have this Dominican church where from 1776 there is a famous Adam Gottlieb Kasparini organ, which is under restoration now, but 4 stops are playable on the second manual, and from time to time I would have been invited to demonstrate them, for a group of people, just to make the organ a little bit playable from time to time. And the organ builder who took care of this instrument at the time, Rimantas Gučas, he promised to tune and to prepare this instrument so that no ciphers would be present. I would just come and play, like a guest. And I came, and it wasn't that okay. There were maybe 3 ciphers. And I was prepared maybe 4, 5, 6 pieces, little preludiums and choral partitas. They were wonderful for these 4 stops, but not for ciphers.
But no.
So I was so angry at myself, at this Rimantas Gučas, who is my colleague now, friend, and I was so embarrassed also. But people came here to listen and enjoy. They didn't know this politics, what happened, right? I should have played and kept on improvising.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, well, maybe next time. You will.
Of course, this was maybe 15 years ago. Now I would just come and without prepared compositions. In this case,
Yeah. Well, that is in a way the basics of music has always been that you play your own music. In older ages, nobody would play other one's pieces. They would always play their own pieces. And somewhere in the 19th or 20th century, that has completely gone with musicians. They always play other one's stuff, and they are absolutely afraid to even play one note by themselves. But the good thing now is that more and more people, not just organists, but also pianists, violinists, and in the Netherlands we have now a harp player who is also improvising now, which is wonderful because a harp is a beautiful instrument to improvise on. And he says, yes, I want to be liberated from the strictness of the score and be able to do my own music. So it's a good development, I think.
I think so. All over the world, people are discovering the art of improvisation more and more, and they even do this on professional level, just like you do, touring various countries and playing in recitals.
Yeah. I'm happy that it is having a revival nowadays.
So, by the way, Hayo, when you improvise, how do you feel the passing of time? Do you sometimes forget the passing of time? Or are you always constantly aware, 10 minutes passed, 20 minutes passed, 5 minutes left?
That is interesting. I somehow seem to have a sort of built-in clock. So that if I decide it should not be longer than 5 minutes, it often is indeed 5 minutes. Of course, that is something you can easily get used to, because 5 minutes is a good length also in masses during church services. But a few months ago, there was a very interesting project in my church in the St Laurenskerk in Rotterdam, where they would project on the organ all kinds of pictures and to create a very, very strange atmosphere. And people could lie in the church on bean bags, very spiritual ones. And they asked me to improvise for 2 hours.
Yes.
So that is very long. So in a sort of minimal Philip Glass-like way, which I had never done before.
Like Advames, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Exactly, yeah. And then I thought this is going to be tricky, because I was afraid that after 10 minutes I would have the feeling that it was already in an hour, and still, but it was actually the opposite around. I was playing, and then after almost an hour I thought, well, maybe I'm now 15 minutes away, and then I was very surprised to see that it was already an hour.
Yeah. So
in longer things it can be a little more difficult. But in general,
You know, the good swimmers, Olympic style level swimmers, can swim in a distance, for example, very precisely. If the coach says, do this in, like 55 seconds and 3 milliseconds, they could do this.
Yeah.
They could do this, and you told this about too. You feel the passing of time too. That this is very high level.
That's interesting. Somehow you feel, and I always tell my students, you have to try to feel. This is the moment to stop, because if you listen carefully while you play, you can feel. Now I should stop. This is the perfect length. I have said what I wanted to say. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you learn to feel that, then you can also learn to feel time.
Right.
The duration of your improvisation. But that is something I have experienced by many students. They find it very difficult to know when to stop. Mm-hmm. It is always too long. It is never too short. It's always too long. Hopefully I will be not too long tomorrow.
No. Your piece will be at the end, right? Improvisation.
Yeah. So
probably you will be. You can play how for 10, 15 minutes, whatever you want, because you're the last, right?
This is the last one. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I remember when I first started improvising, this long event, like 1 hour. I had a clock ticking besides me, and I always would, look at it constantly, regularly, to keep the track of time. But the more I did this, the more recitals I played this way, the less I needed to check, actually, because, as you say, you begin to feel, or sometimes even forget.
Yeah.
And you wake up maybe 10 minutes before the end, and I need to have a culmination now.
Yeah. And now it's time to wrap it up. Yeah. Yeah, it's in a way the same way of jazz musicians. They work the same way, I suppose. The band feels, this is the perfect moment to stop it.
Yeah.
By the way, I often think that they could be a little short, but that is a personal thing. Yeah.
Do you agree, Hayo, that many people, or as many people as possible, should try to improvise, at least for themselves, to try out, not to be afraid to fail, as you say, sometimes make mistakes, and to tell the story with musical means and see what happens.
Yeah. I think that it's very, very important that they do that. I can remember that I was teaching a young guy, and he was the son of a very orthodox priest. Mm-hmm. Very nice man, but very orthodox. And this priest was always sitting next to the organ during the lessons. And I asked this boy, can you improvise a little bit? And then he was all very, very reluctant. And then I thought, I think what the problem is, he doesn't want to play because his father is next. He feels somehow
intimidated.
And then I, with a kind of excuse I made, I said, the next lesson is not here, but is in another church. Because I wanted this priest to be out, and it was absolutely amazing to see what happened with this boy. He turned out to have a great talent for improvising, but because he never got the chance, he never did it. But as soon as he did it, he learned that he was very creative, and that is exactly what many people. No doubt happen. Well, of course, there's a difference in level, but I think that when you're interested in music at all, you definitely have some talent for improvisation. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it.
So, at this point of our conversation, probably we should begin to wrap it up, like improvisation, right?
Yeah.
And I always wonder what my guest would advise other organists to do. For example, what would be 3 steps in order to become a better improviser?
3 steps to become a better improviser.
Where should one start?
Where should one start?
Number
to become, 1. First of all, don't be afraid. That is the most important thing. Just do it. Second would be learn to react. So as soon as you do something, think of it as a conversation. I have to react. And the third would be well, that is interesting.
Maybe more coffee?
Would you like more coffee?
Yeah, one.
There we are. Cappuccino. Tapati. Wonderful.
And the third would be think of colors.
Of chords.
The colors.
Colors.
Yeah. This chords can be colors. Stops can be colors. Or maybe even better, think of characters.
Characters. Yeah. So basically, tell the story then.
Yeah, basically tell a story.
Based on those characters, right?
Yeah.
Imagine how they react with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Fight or get along.
or put them opposed to each other and change from one character to the other and come back to it, because that helps. In fact, if you would look at music by Olivier Messiaen, it is very nice to see how structured he is with characters. I put it in brackets, and he simply shifts from one
episode
idea to another idea and comes back to an idea.
He can have just 2 ideas interchangeably, and 5-part movement will be born.
I always find that this offertoire from the Messe de la Pentecôte, a very beautiful example of how you can have a few ideas and simply, like a juggler, jumble around and have a very good form.
1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 2, 1.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So don't be afraid for the first one, right?
Yeah.
Then the second is learn to react.
Yes.
And number 3 would be think of characters. Wonderful. I'm so happy we met, Hayo. Have a tremendous recital tomorrow. A great practice tonight, probably, right?
Hopefully.
Choose the stops carefully, try out the instrument, enjoy. I know you will enjoy this instrument because the acoustics does the rest.
Does a lot, yeah. That is very important.
It helps. It does half of the job for you, basically.
Very good. I'm already happy.
Yes. So now, of course, our listeners from 89 countries would love to know more about you and your work. So, can you give our listeners a link where they can find out more about you?
Well, the most easiest link would be my website, which is www.hayoboerema.com.
Okay, let's spell it out because some people would want to click after our conversation. Hayo, it's Hayo, and Boerema is BOEREMA.com, right?
Exactly.
Wonderful. So I'll put the description, these links into the description of the conversation too, that people can click after our conversation is done and visit what it is you do and get to know to you and say hello to you perhaps and keep in touch.
I would love to meet them and speak to them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much one more time, Hayo, and I hope we meet again, and I have a feeling that we will.
We absolutely will. Thank you very much for having me.
If you liked this conversation, I encourage you to visit my blog Secrets of Organ Playing at organduo.lt, where you will find lots of insights, practical advice and training for every area of organ playing. You can subscribe to this blog for free to get your daily dose of inspiration and to be the first to know when any of my future podcasts roll out. I hope to help you reach your dreams in organ playing. I'm Vidas Pinkevičius. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you online really soon.